Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vastatya Shatarane Bhajasri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpataruvascha Kripasindu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Haribol. Everybody okay? So, the question of passing on values to your children, values that will also become important to them. One of the unique differences between, and I'm just going to use the term broadly, between Indian culture overall and other worldly cultures is that the foundation of actual Indian culture is the Veda. The Vedas serve as the foundation. The Vedic culture is the origin of what people have assimilated into their life today. But over time, we find that in different areas of India, different communities, different regions, people have adopted or added local flavor. There's also often a little bit of a problem, especially when families migrate. They go to a foreign country and their kids grow up in a completely different society with completely different values than where I might have come from. And then there's all this kind of anxiety. You're watching the younger people go through changes. Well, firstly, it's not just happening in foreign countries. India is like far out. The amount of change that has taken place there in the last 10, 15 years is mind-boggling. And it usually started around the areas where they had call centers. I don't know if people are very familiar with what's going on or not. So whether you're in Bangalore or Noida, or you're in Gujarat, in Surat, or some of the, you've got these areas where there's these huge call centers, and thousands of people are being trained in foreign culture. So that when you talk to somebody on the end of the phone, you sound a little bit like them. You sort of understand them. And as part of this training, it had this really huge impact on younger people in terms of what is cool and what is not cool. So you see in these areas where you had the heavy call center focus, in the last, maybe since about 2006, 2008, you see a developing what I'm going to call pub culture, where people would sit around and drink, and imitate this world that they are relating to in their job. And of course, Mr. Kingfisher is very happy because beer and alcohol sales are going through the roof. But we also see this aggressive move away from modesty and the virtues that were considered important to people actually becoming quite wild. Right? Anybody disagree, or we're all on the same page with this? And sort of like, it's okay, what are we going to do? For me, I've been visiting India since my first time I went there was 1971. So for me, the change since, in 40 years is phenomenal. And it really began when you started seeing satellite dishes popping up in villages all over the place, where people don't even have electricity. Maybe it's operating off battery and stuff. But somebody will get a big satellite dish and they'll have a TV and everybody crowds around there to watch. And when they watch, people are being taught new things. The new things they're being taught are new values, a new focus on what life should be for. And in these kind of situations, it's kind of like a lot of older people, or not even older people, but people that valued this traditions of India, the spiritual traditions. It's kind of like they're pulling their hair out. They don't know what to do because they cannot fight against this culture. This culture is so powerful and it is so strong, and people are just like so drawn to it. It's like, what are we going to do? How do we offset this? Part of the problem has arisen because of the older people. Am I going to get into trouble here or not? No. Because many of them have accepted tradition. They have accepted customs, have accepted things just because that's what you did. You accepted what your parents taught you, what your elders told you, and you just go along with it. But then when the kids begin to question, why do we do that? Why? What's the use of it? Then people, look, you just follow, okay? This is what my father and mother did, you just follow. Good enough for them, good enough for you. Right or not? And that's just like, no, that is not going to work. Maybe that would work when people were living in a very closed society. But now somebody's come and ripped all the windows open, and they've ripped the door off and ripped the roof off, and everything is getting in. And so if you want to be an influence, if you want to have an influence, you have to also understand what it is that you are supposedly valuing and why you should value it. People have a hard time with this. They don't know what to say. And so the children think, oh, there's no real reason. This is just like superstition, or this is just like belief. They believe in that. That's okay, they can do it, but I'm not going to do it. I believe in Nike. I believe in Miley Cyrus or something, It's like, this is going to be the new culture, the new belief system. And when that happens, we have actually done a tremendous disservice because of our own laziness. I don't mean to criticize, but it is true. Because of our laziness, we have not taken the time to actually dive deeply into what is our true culture. Our culture is not an Indian culture. This culture arises from Sanatan Dharma. You know the meaning of this word, the real meaning? Sanatan Dharma. What is Dharma? What is Dharma? Some people are going to say, oh, it's religiousness or righteousness or good path to follow. Yeah, that is one understanding. But there is a deeper and more important understanding. This word dharma actually means the intrinsic nature of something. For instance, what is the dharma of sugar? It is sweet. If I take sweetness away from sugar, what have I got? Maybe it looks like sand or plastic, or if there's no sweetness in it, even though I've got little crystals and I try to crunch it, but there's no sweetness, I know it's not sugar. So sugar cannot be separated from sweetness. Wetness cannot be separated from water. So when we talk about this dharma, this nature, we are talking about the eternal nature. What does that even mean? I'll just change a little bit here. Most people sort of have some idea that materialism is not good. Not really. Maybe, I'm not sure exactly why, but my feeling, maybe it's not so good. And if people had a more spiritual life, that's kind of better. But if I ask, what really is materialism? What is the foundation of materialism? Anybody have any idea? What is the starting point for materialism? Possessiveness. I'm going to, well, who is possessing? The individual. And what is the individual? Sorry, I don't mean to put you in a spot. But what you are saying and what you are answering is what everybody's thinking. I'll tell you something that's really, really important. It's not so much the possessiveness, it's the idea of who is possessing. The foundation of all materialism is this idea that I am material. What does that mean? That I am material. The idea that I am a man or I am a woman, that I am Indian, I am Australian, I am Chinese, I am Filipino, all of these ideas are the foundation of materialism. If you want to teach one thing to your children and younger people, if you are to learn one thing in your life, the one thing that will make the huge difference, the one thing that will make it so that you can become successful in your life, that you can actually find the happiness that you desire, that you will be able to find shelter, that you will be able to find love. It is dependent upon this one idea, this one understanding. I am not this body. This body is not me. That is why I can say that when we talk about the fact that Sanatana Dharma actually has nothing to do with Indian culture. Indian culture has come from and attached itself to these eternal truths. And that is why the culture has enormous value, not because it's from India or it's about so-called Indian people. No, it is founded on this understanding and appreciation that this body is not me. You know, sometimes I speak in different schools. I went to one school one time in the Philippines. It was a girls' school, Catholic university. And I handed out a piece of paper to all the girls. And I told them, describe yourself. Tell me who you are. So they all start writing. I said, don't make big sentences. Just describe who you are. So everybody writes down. So then you collect the pieces of paper. Then you make an example, not very nice example. This is actually a little bit unfortunate example. Let's say on the way home, one of the girls was in a car accident and was killed. And then the next day I come back to the classroom to continue talking. And everybody's crying and sad. And I ask, what's wrong? And they tell me, sir, Jennifer, she's dead. She's gone. She's left us. And they're going to have, you know, the tradition there amongst the Christians or the Catholics. They have the body in a coffin and in a chapel, and people go there and pay respects. So they bring me to the chapel. And we get to the chapel, and I'm looking, and then I think I better open my bag, and I look for Jennifer's piece of paper. And I get the piece of paper, and it says, my name is Jennifer. I am about, are we going to use meters or feet? I don't know. 5'4". So we look in the coffin and we measure it. Oh, still 5'4". I have a light brown complexion. You look, okay, still there. I have shoulder length black hair, still there. I weigh this much weight, whatever it is, still weighs that same weight. I go through the entire list of the description of who this person is, and everything is still there. So then I can turn and say, it's okay, she hasn't gone anywhere, she's still here. And people are going to look at you like you've gone crazy. But actually, who is crazy? We are saying, and we have lived our whole life claiming this body that I am wearing around, claiming this to be me. Is that a little bit crazy or not? And it's like deep, deep conditioning. We have been conditioned by this idea in such a strong, strong way. When we speak of Sanatana Dharma, the very foundational idea of this Sanatana Dharma is Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman, I am spirit. That doesn't tell me exactly who I am, but it tells me that I am not this body. If we want to actually find out who I am, and why is it important? Why is it important to find out who I am? It's important because if you want to be happy, if you want to find peacefulness, if you want to be successful in your life, you have to know who you are. If you are living your whole life in a state of confusion, you will not be successful in your life. What are the things that everybody wants in life? One thing is, doesn't everybody want to be happy? Why? Why do you want to be happy? Why? What's wrong with being sad? Why? Why are we pushed so hard? Isn't it? Everybody is looking for happiness. What are people doing on their cell phone when they're looking? What are they looking for? When people are watching a TV program, what are they looking for? Isn't it that you're looking for happiness? You're always listening and thinking, oh, what are we going to do this weekend? What am I going to do after school? What am I going to do after work? This is coming up, that is coming up. Why am I thinking about all these things? Because I am looking for happiness. I am looking for fulfillment. Let me ask this question. Do you know anyone that's become perfectly happy in this world? Even one person? I mean, look at your mom and dad, uncle and crazy auntie. Right? Everybody's got a crazy uncle, crazy auntie somewhere in the family. You look at them all. You look at your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your neighbors. Who do you know yourself that has become just filled with happiness? You know anybody? So why are we looking? If nobody has attained this, why are we looking? Why do we desire this? Why? Any idea? Is this important subject or not? Or is this like, I thought we were just going to have a simple talk. I'm asking too much of everybody. Why? Why are we looking? Anybody have an idea?
It's a basic human desire.
No? Do you know why I said no? You think for a minute. It is a basic human desire. I've said no because this desire is not a human desire. This desire actually comes from the Atma. It does not arise from the body. It does not actually arise from the mind. It is part of your Sanatan Dharma. It is part of your eternal nature to exist in happiness. But now that you find yourself in this condition of having a material body, and you are so convinced this body is you, you are trying to seek out and fulfill this desire through this body and through this mind. But I tell you this, two important things. Number one, it doesn't matter what you do to your body, what experience you give it. You can excite it, you can stimulate the body, you can do so many things to the body, but it never touches you in your heart of hearts. It never gives you that happiness that you actually desire and seek. Does anybody disagree? I don't think so. Yeah, good. Other things that we desire. One is we're so afraid of death. Death is like, oh my God. Even if you know somebody is sick, and when death occurs, it's like such a shock. And then this extraordinary thing happens. I can know someone, I can care and have affection, I can embrace them, I can feel affection. The second that they die, everything changes. The body that is left there, is it attractive? Do we want to hold it and touch it? Do we want to put it in bed beside us and sleep there? Even if it was a husband or a wife, we couldn't do it. Even if it is a child. I mean, I think the love of a parent for a child is so strong. But even then, why? Why does it, what is it that makes someone attractive? It is because of the presence of the Atma, the self. As soon as the Atma leaves, what is left behind is very unattractive, even repulsive. We become very upset by death for one reason, because part of our Sanatana Dharma is that we are eternal. We are eternal. But when I have become so locked in the idea that this body is me, and then I see a dead body, or I am approaching death, I become so worried because it is going against my eternal spiritual nature to be eternal. What is something else that is very strong for people, all people? We have a desire for love, right or not? To both love and to be loved. And so we are looking, this is a good thing for the phone, we can look and look and look and find someone. We are looking for someone to love and to be loved by. This is also part of the Sanatana Dharma. It is part of the eternal nature of the Atma to exist in a state of love, prem. But when we become overwhelmed by this idea that this body is me and I've lost all remembrance, all awareness that I am an eternal being residing within, then I feel this desire and urge for love, and I am looking around for that person who can love me and whom I can love. But even if we find the most wonderful person in this world, will it give us the love that we are looking for? No. You maybe find someone and settle down with them, get married. You're still reading love stories. You're still watching love stories on TV or on the movies. You're still listening to love songs, people dancing and singing love. And you're still so attracted because what you have is not enough. It is not enough to really fill up this desire of your heart. These are the main characteristics of the Atma. This is the main. What is an Atma? What is it? Huh? When you say our soul, who is the our? Your soul. And who are you? If the soul belongs to you, who are you? No, you're not the body. Huh? Yes, I am the Atma. You know, when we get to know someone in this world, we meet a person. We have a relationship with a person. When death occurs, is the body a person? It looks like the person that you knew, but is it a person? If you have to touch a dead body, what is the feeling? Have you touched before a dead body, carried one or moved one? What is the feeling? Can you just go and eat food afterwards? Number one, you feel so disturbed inside. And number two, you feel it is dirty. Even after you wash your hands, you cannot easily, especially if it is a stranger and you have had to move a dead body, you cannot just go and eat. It feels like, a spoon please, you know. You feel like you've touched something very, very dirty. The body is not a person. The Atma is not like a battery. You know, you get a battery and you put it in the toy and then the toy can move. Then you take out the battery and the toy falls over. It's useless, and I'm looking at the battery. The battery looks kind of useless. And I put it together, oh, then there's something nice. Sometimes people are thinking that the Atma is like this battery, just an energy source for the body. It is true that the Atma is an energy source, but the Atma, first and foremost, is a person. Now, there are some philosophies that teach that that is not true. But I am telling you, this is the foundation of Vedic teaching, the authentic Vedic teaching. This is called Purusha. The Atma is called Purusha. Purusha literally means a person. It means someone who is engaged in the attempt to enjoy and find happiness. This is who you are. When a person begins to cultivate this understanding, then I tell you, your whole life begins to change. Your whole life takes on a different course. Instead of just doing everything that everyone else is doing, you begin to think, why should I do that? If I want to be happy, if I want to find love, if I want to experience eternality, then if I'm engaged in activity that's making me constantly forget that I am the person inside this body is not me. If I am engaged in material activity, my life will be like everyone else's. It will be a difficult struggle that is filled with the desire to find happiness but never finding it. I will aspire and hope for love, but I will settle for something second best, maybe just a nice relationship with family or whatever. Not that thing that I really aspire for. So when I say that materialism, the foundation of materialism, is the idea that I am matter. I am the material energy. I am this body. If I have this thinking, I am sorry, you might as well quit now. You will never find happiness. You will never be fulfilled. Your life will never be as glorious and wonderful as it actually should be. When I speak to you about this, these, you know that these are not new ideas, right or wrong? You have sort of heard in bits and pieces some, maybe the way I am explaining is quite simple and straightforward and very complete. But it is not a new idea. And it is so unfortunate that even this term, Sanatan Dharma, the meaning of it has become lost. For many people, it has become simply like another form of religious expression, another form of bodily identity. People have lost the real meaning of this amazing word that is filled with such hope, which is filled with such knowledge and joy, with such beauty. So if we are to actually impact the lives of our children and others, our own life has to be based on this. You know, there's nothing worse than like a father who's smoking a cigarette and he sees, hey, how come you're smoking? Right? Or telling the kids not to drink and they're drinking. Telling the kids not to do this, but they're doing it. Children are not stupid. Even when they're little, when they're small, they look at their parents and they already make a judgment. They already ask in their own mind some question. Don't you remember when you were children? Or you forgot already? Did you not do this when you were children? And the children now are encouraged to do this even more. But that is okay. It is good to ask question. Asking question, you know, this is one unique characteristic of the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture was founded on questioning. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of life? Who are you to speak to me? How do I know you can teach me anything? This was actually the Vedic tradition, and it's not out of arrogance. It's because I want to know and I want to be sure. We do have another problem. You can see that it is not just in India, it is all over the world. There are so many people that are so willing to play guru, to sit there and speak like they are great authorities, but actually they have no realization. They are saying some of the right things. They want to take, money and respect from everybody. And then they find out something terrible happened. I remember reading this story of about 8 years ago, some guy in Rajasthan. He had one lakh of disciples. That's 100,000 for the Aussies. 100,000. And he had like big ashram. And then one day the police came to arrest him. And everybody's like, oh, this is terrible. This is just politics. Somebody's just envious of our Gurudev like this. And then the real story comes out. He had cut some lady's head off with an axe and threw her body in the well. Because she was blackmailing him. She was bringing young girls to him. In the beginning, she was the one that was coming to him at night. Then she's bringing young girls to him as she gets older. Then she's telling him, you give me land, you give me this, I won't say anything, and I keep bringing pretty young girls to you. And everybody else is looking at him because he's sitting on the big chair, he's wearing right kind of clothes, he looks a certain way, therefore he must be guru. No. You know, Vedic culture taught people how to question. How to both question and observe, and how to turn to the Lord in their own heart, Lord Paramatma, this Chaitanya Guru. And to ask the question, can I trust this person? Is this person actually your representative? They have a saying in the Vedas that one should not see with their eyes, they should see with their ears. Your eyes can mislead you. Somebody can look like the real thing, but when they begin to speak, if I have proper training in what is the truth, when I hear this speaking, I will know, no, this is not correct. If I observe some characteristic or some activity, no, it is not that I am higher or I am better, but I seek the Lord in my heart. Is this person really representing you? If we followed the real Sanatan Dharma, if we really followed and learned how we should learn, we would always be safe, not just from these kind of people, but people that we meet in our life, people that we engage in family relationship with. How much should I trust this person? How much should I... Is it not? Even in family, there are so many problems, especially when it comes to money. People will fight and kill each other. All kinds of crazy things happen. This culture that has been the foundation of what is modern-day India, this is an eternal spiritual culture that has enormous, enormous benefit. This culture and this information is completely liberating. It can solve everyone's problem. It can make it so you can find actual happiness, complete peace. You can find complete shelter. And the foundational understanding is that I am not this body. I am the Atma, the spiritual person residing within this body. These needs that I have are actually spiritual needs. And if I look to fulfill them only within this world, I'm sorry, I will not be fulfilled. We spend so much time on business, chasing money, on a family, right? We spend so much time. It's not bad. It's not bad. But what happens is we completely neglect what is most important, our spiritual life, that which will really give us life and fulfillment. And it is very important that people really make an effort to find where they can find this real truth, this source of real knowledge and real spiritual teaching that will change and transform my life and make it so I can find a balance, so I can live within this world, and even in the worst of times, I can be untouched. Just like this lotus, Padma. The water can be completely filthy, and the stem is rising up above it, and then it is flowering. And the scent and the look is so beautiful, even in the dirtiest place. And this is really what we must learn, how to exist like this while we reside within this world, while we take care of our duty towards family and to society and others, but at the same time not to be overwhelmed, not to become lost. This is the real significance and importance. And this is the great gift that is your heritage. It is not Indian. It is the most amazing spiritual, cultural values that have ever appeared in this world. But we are so lazy and we don't care. We just go about our life forgetful of things. We must become examples of this. We must become examples of this so that we can also share with our family, with our friends, our children. These are all critically important. You agree or not? Does anybody have any question?
You didn't explain that the what as in define this truth, and that's how you attain happiness. But what you didn't explain is how.
How?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that intelligent question. The question is how? This is the process of actual, you know this word in English, what they call self-realization. What does realization mean? What does it mean? To realize something, what does that mean? Can't be that hard. Huh? No. No, it's good. It's good because that's what most people are thinking. It actually means more than to understand. It goes beyond understanding to where you can actually experience and see the reality of it. Like we just had a conversation about how you are not the body. I can even speak about that a little bit more, and everybody will agree, yes, I understand that, and I appreciate it. But does that change anything? When I stand up and walk out, now am I different? No, I have some mental understanding, but I will still be doing the same things. I will still be pulled the same way. I will still be chasing all these things, looking for happiness where I can never find happiness. So it is more than understanding. It is a process that brings about change, that brings about transformation, that makes it so that we can actually see everything now with like different eyes. This is the most wonderful and amazing thing. So what is the way to do that? The Vedas are filled with different types of processes. These different processes or different paths are all actually for different purposes. They are not all the same. There have been some people that proposed the idea, as they say in Bengali, Jotapot Totamot. Jotamot Totapot. Sorry. As many minds, as many paths. That's a, can I say stupid idea? It's not true. It's not that you can just think up something and that becomes an actual path to realization. I'm sorry. And different types of processes and practices will bring different degrees of realization. If one wants to come Like, I will give you one example. You know, this statement that I made, that it is the nature of the Atma to exist in a state of love. Some people will be shocked by that idea, because their idea is the Atma is not a person. The Atma is just Brahman. Well, it is true that the Atma is Brahman, but it does not mean that Brahman is without feature or differentiation. No, it is. So, in this, you know, most of the processes are described broadly in the term yoga. Not everything in the Vedas is meant for self-realization. I don't know if you're aware of that. The Vedas is divided into different categories of teaching for different purposes. There are some people that are utterly addicted to material life. Their whole obsession is material life. They want to succeed so much that they cannot really, they won't allocate any time or energy to really focus on truly spiritual things. Even they go to temple. You know, what's amazing, I don't know if anybody has been to Tirupati. It's in South India. It is, this temple receives so much money in donation, you can't believe it. At the back of the temple, they've got like all this glass wall, and inside, maybe there are 30, 40 men, and some of them have machines that are pouring coins, and it's shaking it all out. Money counters, mountains of money people are donating, and that is good. But this is what they do. They come to Lord Venkateshwara and they pray to him, I'm about to make a big deal. Oh my Lord, if you let this happen, I promise I will come and give 10% or 20%. And the deal happens. I cannot say whether the Lord allowed or simply their desire is so strong, so okay, it's going to happen. Then they come with a big bag, and they have this big bag, and the guys are there with like mountain of money, all the bills, putting it inside. This is missing the point. It is good when we recognize there is some higher power than our own life. But even if you get all the money in the world, you will still feel empty inside. And when you go to bed at night, you are alone and you are just thinking, this person's trying to get this from me, this person's getting that, I need to get this. Even you are spending so much money, it will not touch you in the core of your being. You will still be empty. But there are people that are just totally, that's what they want to do. So a huge section of the Vedas teaches, it is called the Karma Kanda. It teaches you who to worship, which one of the devas, what tapasya to perform, what mantra to chant, what, in order to get these things that you want. But these things that you want are not what you need. When you look at the paths of yoga, many of them required such discipline. They were so incredibly difficult to properly practice and perform in order to come to some success. But in the Brihad Nadya Purana, there is this statement, Harir Nam, Harir Nam, Harir Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatir Anyata. That in this age, this time known as Kali Yuga, it is only this Harinam and Eva stressing Kevalam, the only way that one can come to the platform of full realization. Kaloana Nasteva, Nasteva, 3 times it is stating. There is no other effective way for full realization than to engage in this process of kirtan. This kirtan is performed either as japa, where one quietly chants this Harinam, or it is done by singing or loudly speaking, this is kirtan, or when it is done in group, the Sankirtan, the Sangha, association. This is the primary means. This is the primary means, and everything else, there are many other things that can be done to support and to help us derive the benefit from them, but this is the primary means. Okay, I'll give you a bad example, all right? Don't get angry. The dog. If the dog passes stool, is this bad smell? I don't know if anybody has ever stepped on this. You step on a dog stool and you get in the car, your car is going to stink for weeks, even you try to clean. It's like disgusting stuff. But what happens when it is sitting out there on the grass or on the path? What happens? After some days, the smell is completely gone. And after a bit more time with the sun shining on it, it now becomes even white. Then it begins to break down like dust. And that thing that was so disgusting and filthy, because of the disinfecting rays of the sun, has become something that is no longer unclean. So I don't want to say in a similar way, but it's like that. When we, and it's not a question of just pulling from some book or anything. It is important to receive this Harinam from the spiritual dimension coming through parampara. When one receives the Harinam, it is so powerful that even though we may be completely ignorant, we may be completely sinful or low-life, degraded, simply by exposing ourselves to the rays of Harinam, our heart, our mind will become purified. Our life will begin to transform. We will begin, when we study Shastra or we hear some truth, it will now take on a wonderful and profound meaning. Our understanding will grow, and the way that we will begin to look at the world and everything will change. This is the primary process. There is actually no need for anything else in this time. Okay? Long answer, but it had to be long. You're very welcome. Anybody else have a question? If not, oh, we have one question back here, yeah. Feel free, ask anything. Ask anything. It is important to ask. There is no stupid question or dumb question. All question is good, because it means we are thinking and inquiring. And anything that you are thinking and want to ask, you will find most other people are thinking the same thing, only they're not putting their hand up. Please.
Yes, I'd like to know a little bit more about Atma as a person. You mentioned.
What would you like to ask in relation to Atma?
No, you mentioned it's a being, it's a person. Yes. So I'd like to know more about it.
If we want to acquire knowledge of something, whether it is in the material sphere, whether it is spiritual, we must ask the question, what is its essence? Meaning, what is its essential nature? What is it made from? What is it? What is its position? Where does it fit in relation to this world, other beings? Is there a supreme being? And where does it fit in relation to everything? And then thirdly, what is the natural function of the Atma? If you answer these three things, then you will at least have an understanding. If you have a full realization, then you will deeply understand and appreciate. There is actually a correlation between also the Atma and the Param Atma, the Supreme Atma. When a person comes to understand this principle that I am spirit, I am Brahman, and they pursue certain practices, they can simultaneously have the experience, if they are very fortunate, to experience this, what is sometimes described as like an ocean of light. And it is possible for the Atma to merge into this vast ocean of light known as Brahman. Brahman is one of the features of the highest truth. It is not the only feature. It is one of the features. But to know that I am Brahman, it doesn't tell me what is my position in relation to others. One of the very authoritative shlokas from the Upanishads, there is this Nitya Nityanam, Chaitanya Chaitanyanam. These two lines, they appear in two different places, and they are half of the mantra. When you say Nitya, it is because of Sandhi, it should be Nityaha, which means the individual eternal being. And when you say Nityanam, it means a vast ocean of eternal beings. So this statement says that there is one eternal being that is distinct from all the other eternal beings. Chaitanya refers to consciousness. Chaitanya, Chaitanya. There is one eternal conscious being who is distinct and different than all other eternal conscious beings, and he is supplying the needs for all of the others. This reference is the reference to the actual Param Atma, the Supreme Atma, or the Param Purusha. The Atma is also called Purusha, but there is also a Param Purusha. I can never become the Paramatma. I can never become the Parampurusha. It is not my nature. If I have the realization that I am simply Brahman, and I can have that experience of merging into the larger ocean of Brahman, I lose all concept of individuality. And while I may be able to remain in that condition for what seems to be eternity, the fact is you cannot eternally stay in that state, because it is not your eternal nature or your eternal position to be in that state. Because there is a Paramatma, my position is that he is superior to me and I am dependent upon him. And all other Atmas are my brothers and sisters, and they are in the same situation or condition. But that still does not tell me what is my eternal function. What is it that people, what is something that people, okay, let's say people find so-called love in this world. How do people manifest love? What do they do? No idea? You want to please someone. You do nice things for them in an attempt to please them because you want to see them as being happy. This is actually, and you know what? If you can't find someone to love, you know what they do? They'll find a dog to love or a cat. And it's a dog. It cannot love you back. It can like you, it can show affection, but it cannot actually love you back. But people take shelter there because we have this burning and strong desire. You don't have to teach children. As soon as they start growing up, what happens? The girls are looking at the boys are looking at the girls, right or not? And everybody's thinking, you know, and the movie stars or whatever, and they're writing names like that and dreaming about, right or not? Did someone teach you how to do this? No. It is naturally occurring. The problem is because you do not understand your nature as the Atma, you are trying to live out this actual spiritual need within this world, and you will never find the perfection. Because I am a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. I am his, like a spark of his. The only way I will fulfill this desire is in this union with him. And this feature of the Absolute Truth is called Bhagavan. So the three features of the Absolute Truth, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, and they correlate with my realization that I am Brahman, but I am also a Purusha, I am an individual living being, and I am subordinate to someone that is much greater than me. And I will find true happiness and perfection. I will experience the highest joy and love in connecting heart to heart with Bhagavan. This is where my home is. This is where everything is. Okay? It's actually a bigger subject than that. That's like a short version, because our time is not so long. Is this okay? We're good with this? Or no? Yeah? Sort of? You know, this is important. This is your life. This is your happiness. This is your future. This is everything. It's not just some idea. It's profoundly wonderful. but one must learn how, step by step. This is the real culture. This is the real culture of India, Bharatvarsha. It is this Vedic culture, this Sanatan Dharma. Everything else is okay, but not so important. If you are Bengali, Gujarati, Tamil, whatever, all those other things are irrelevant. Actually, you are Atma. You're not Indian, you're not woman, you're not man, you are the Atma. And the greatest gift of culture that you can give to your children is this knowledge, so that when they grow up in this world and in a different society, they will not be blown off course. They will not lose their way. They will find how to live in this world and even in other cultures, but to have this foundation in their life. Sound like it's okay or what? Any takers? You can't just hear about it. You actually have to do something about it. So I think we're finished. We will have some kirtan. And after that, if you have any question you want to ask, then feel free to approach me. Thank you. So maybe I sing a short bhajan, very short, and then Mahamantra. And I ask you, please, don't just sit there and listen. You cannot taste the sandesh by just looking at it, or the laddu. You have to put it in your mouth and taste it. Okay? I don't know why people are so shy. You don't even need a good voice. Your voice can be very bad. It doesn't matter. When you hear this transcendental sound, divya, it is transcendental, and then you take it into your heart and repeat, then it can change your life.
Hari